We have two wonderful gentlemen tonight to debate this, to talk about it. I'm going to give the mic first to Mr. Drew Pavlou to state his case. Be brief.
I hate this guy. Actual inbred, grifter, retard, absolute pathetic scumfuck, sting of the sentient. He's a sentient cumsock for the Republicans, and he considers himself a patriot who is an Australian, okay? He is one of the most pathetic people to ever walk the face of the earth, and his personal drama is his dad telling him to go get a job, okay? He is so fucking pathetic, and he is such a fucking loser. He literally tweets as a living, okay? Tweets for a living, all right? Because to support his grift, okay? The more engagement that he has on his Twitter, the more money he gets from Elon Musk, okay? This guy is scum of the earth grifter. Andy No level grifter, okay?
Stand a minute,
Yeah,
and
anyway.
we're going to let Lonerbox respond.
Absolute pathetic scumfuck.
Go ahead.
Anyway, yeah.
Perhaps Lonerbox can start just because I'm still getting my bearings because I just jumped in the call.
Okay, Lonerbox, go ahead. Why is Reform UK going to destroy Britain, in your opinion?
Okay, so I think it's a pretty simple story. It's a story about someone who is more or less making a total political killing off of his own failures. In around 2015-16, up to the Brexit campaign, Nigel Farage put out a billboard of himself standing in front of a picture of a throng of Syrian, North African, Arab Muslim refugees, and saying that this is why we need to get out of the EU. They're coming, basically, during the Syrian refugee crisis. The fact is that most immigrants, the overwhelming majority of them coming to the UK at that time, were not Syrian. They were not North African. They weren't even outside of the EU. They were mostly EU migrants. He still managed to harness that fear, the fear of that went.
I don't think he's at all a grifter. He just seems legitimately seriously mentally ill. Yeah, well, I mean, you can be mentally ill and a grifter. These things are not mutually exclusive.
Alongside the Bataclan attacks, the rise of ISIS, the Syrian refugee crisis, and he managed to use that fear to convince people that Brexit was the answer to people's fears. Most people who voted for Brexit in that campaign thought immigration was the biggest problem. It was the biggest reason that people voted to come out of the European Union. We did. And then polling on immigration went really low. Very small, less than 10% of people in the UK thought it was the biggest problem when it's usually like a third.
He's allergic to intelligence.
Half. Until COVID happens. And then slowly after that, we get a huge surge of immigration. And for the first time ever, now that free movement is over, most migrants who come to the UK are from outside of the EU. That never used to be the case. EU migration is negative now. More of them are leaving than they are arriving. And since we had that surge, in part because EU migrants needed to get replaced, because we had humanitarian crises, because the Conservatives, quote unquote, were taking back control and putting in immigration policy that was full of flaws and loopholes and everything else that allowed massive numbers of people to come in, to the point that we've had net migration of like close to 1 million for the last couple of years, something like 800, 900,000. And at the same time, also courtesy of Brexit, we had small boat arrivals on an unprecedented rise, or not seen since the early 2000s. Tens of thousands of people coming in on small boats. Back in the day, we used to be able to send them back to the last European country that they came from, because that was a European Union regulation called Dublin 2 and 3. We used to be able to send them back to the first EU country that they came from. We can't do that anymore. So we basically have Conservatives trying to mess around with as many gimmicks as possible to deal with these new arrivals that are clearly frustrating people. Policies like trying to send them to Rwanda for offshore processing, which was probably one of the most expensive, inefficient, inhumane, torturous, waste of time policies ever. I think they got like less than 20 people deported and spent millions on it.
Jesus.
Followed up by immigration policy from the Tories that was just completely ham-fisted on student visas, work visas, you name it, to the point now that basically we are in a pretty unprecedented spike in immigration that is almost entirely the making of the person who is making the most profit off of it, who is Nigel Farage. So right now we have, again, for the first time in quite a few years, almost a decade, is the biggest problem for UK voters is immigration. And it is basically just going to open the door for a bunch of
I know nothing about UK immigration. They can well have a problem. I do not know. I do not know whether or not they have a problem with immigration. A lot of it is amplified by a lot of right-wing bullshit. And the issue seems to be pretty complicated. And yeah, I don't know. You have a bunch of fucking right-leaning people who wants to keep the country pure. So, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. Europe is one of the most racist places in the entire world, okay? And not without good reason, all right?
Day trader, millionaire, disgusting spiv cunts to capitalize off of people's fears, capitalize off of propaganda and inflated stats and misconceptions to kind of do what they've always wanted to do, which is to use immigration as a bludgeon against everything about this country that they don't like. They want to slash welfare right, left, and center. They want to reduce taxes. Nigel Farage has for years spoken about how he wants to have an insurance-based healthcare system. We know what they want, and they're going to use people's fears to get it. And I don't really think there's anything Keir Starmer can do about immigration that is going to turn that around. It's just, that's where we are.
Okay, well, thank you for being here, and I'm sure we'll get into it as we go. Drew Pavlou, thanks again for being here. What is your thoughts on Reform UK and the immigrant crisis in UK?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And my audio is okay? People can...
Just for context, okay, I'm pretty sure because of one specific political commentator in the UK, an entire like few days of riots broke out, right? I forgot who it was, but like, yeah, a bunch of fucking riots broke out just because of one political commentator blowing up like this one fucking issue about like some black kid or white kid or whatever the fuck. But yeah, I don't quite remember. Yeah.
Hear me
Yep,
fine?
we can hear you. You're fine.
Okay. So I want to very quickly explain that I'm actually
it's just
quite
as
party
retarded
agnostic
as
on
it
this.
seems,
If Keir
trust me.
Starmer were to lower migration
really
in Britain
stupid.
and fix the issue, then I would support Keir Starmer. But he's not going to do that. I would support anyone who would do it. I don't really necessarily even like Nigel Farage that much. I don't even really like Reform that much. I just genuinely look at what's happening in the UK and I see how disastrous mass migration from extremely poor countries has been to the UK in terms of economics, in terms of culture, in terms of the massive problem with
Tommy
rising
Robinson?
sectarian violence in that society, the massive problem with rising Islamic extremism in that society. And I just see that, and I love Britain, and I see it is in a really terrible state right now. And so,
By the way, it's kind of funny that the fucking Australian here is saying, I love Britain, okay, despite Australia coming from, like, what is it, a prison colony fucking place? That's how, like, that's where Australia came from, you know, but you know what? Funny irony, okay? I totally get it.
So I would
Whatever.
basically support anybody who would fix that. And whether it's Nigel Farage or Reform, I don't care. If Keir Starmer did it, I'd support Keir Starmer. I know that Lonerbox started going into the whole claim that, oh, well, these talks about immigration are actually all just sort of like cultural war distractions to try and distract people from talking about economics, and the billionaires want to distract people. Well, here's the thing. I think that people are concerned, rightly, that there has been massive cultural dislocation in Britain within just one generation. Even if you solved every single economic issue in the country, even if you had, say, like a Jeremy Corbyn socialist government, and they massively increased welfare and all these different things, that would not necessarily actually solve the issue of people feeling a sense of cultural dislocation in the country that they've been brought up in. Britain has been majority British for 1,000 years. It has been a nation for like 1,000 years. And based on current migration rates, the current migration rates have the British majority on track to become a minority within one generation, within about maybe like the late 2040s. This is...
By the way, I just want to say there is no actual real issue with that, okay? It's only issue if you're like some kind of like racial supremacist that you want to keep your own race pure. That is the only reason why someone might have an issue with that, okay? Otherwise, this entire thing with like majority minority or whatever the fuck, that is just another version of Great Replacement theory and the white genocide theory, which is both neo-Nazi theories, okay? Like the thing is that, yeah, it is true that white people are gonna be, you know, gonna be a minority one day, right? Because of the rate that other, you know, races have been propagating themselves. But the thing is that like I'm pretty sure they are still like due to be like the largest fucking population, you know, out of any group for quite a long time, right? And that's not going to change for a while. And in addition, like there's no real issue with that other than the fact that you don't want to see like a bunch of black people running around or brown people running around, I guess, or like fucking mixed babies running around, I guess. That's the only reason. And you think that there is some kind of culture that is lost from, you know, less white babies being born. And by the way, okay, like there's a reason why people don't want to have babies anymore. It's because like it's no longer that much of a societal pressure for people to go and do it. And when people become happier and happier, they no longer rely on stuff like fucking, they don't rely on shit in order to stay happy. I don't fucking know, right? Like, yeah, like you no longer turn to children as an easy way to, you know, have fun or find some fulfillment out of life, or, you know, there's just many fucking reasons. Like if you're rich, if you're like some rich white person, then you're able to enjoy a lot more out of life, okay?
It's obviously the largest cultural dislocation, the largest demographic and cultural change in Britain in its entire history. People like to talk about, for example, the Norman invasion. Well, Britain was invaded by the Normans. It's always been a country of migration. the amount of Normans who migrated to Britain after the Norman conquest, I think it was about like 20,000 people. I think the equivalent percentage of the population was about maybe like 2% or 3%. It was a very low number, and they assimilated into the wider population pretty seamlessly without basically leaving much of a dent. Whereas what we're seeing now is basically within a 30-year time period, the British majority, the ethnic British people, the ethnic English people, for example, in England, are going to become a minority within about 30, 40 years. Over that time period from about 2000 to about 2040, within about a generation and a half, you're going to see the English.
Just remember, this is not a real issue, okay? Don't let people trick you into thinking that is a real issue. Like this entire like a minority majority great replacement bullshit.
People become a minority in the country that they have basically been a majority in for 1,000 years. And so I think that level of cultural and this demographic change in one generation is always going to lead to massive amounts of political and social tension. I think it's really crazy for any country to try and run that type of migration policy. That level of dislocation and change in just basically a generation and a half is crazy. I know Lonerbox starts talking about the importance of the migrants for economics. There are 1.9 million foreign nationals on benefits in the UK right now. And benefit claims per 1,000 people from some of the new migrant communities from the third world, they are vastly overrepresented when it comes to benefit claims. Half of all social housing in London is occupied by foreign nationals. There has been if the Boris wave was going to lead to economic growth, we would have seen it already. Instead, Britain has basically sclerotic growth alongside the largest amount of migration in its entire history. The migration is largely coming from places that are very culturally different to Britain. Lonerbox makes the point that, Nigel Farage had problems with Polish people moving to Britain during the time of the EU. I actually think that's retarded. I think it would be so much easier for Britain to integrate people from Poland than it is to integrate people from some of the poorest parts of the third world. I think it would actually be so much better for Britain if they had migration from other European countries that are quite culturally similar and have a relatively similar living standard. I think that would be actually infinitely better than the current situation, because the Boris wave seems to basically have been composed of mostly people from some of the poorest parts of the world that are very culturally different to Britain. And
just remember, they don't actually care about whether or not they're poor. They would rather have poor white people move in rather than poor black people move in, okay? This entire poor or not kind of thing is a complete and utter virtue signal, and they don't actually mean it, okay? They don't care. They don't care about whether or not they're poor, okay? They only care about whether or not they're black or white. It's really as simple as that. Everything else is a proxy for that argument, okay? There's actual reason for this. I hear it all the time, but I've never heard of explaining why it's bad. I don't
it has
know.
created a lot of social tensions in that
You
society.
need to detail that out.
Okay, well, thank you both for being here.
Yeah.
I'm going to open up the floor now to see what you guys both think. Go ahead, Lonerbox, and you can respond to him if you'd like, and we'll just kind of open it up. And if you feel like you're being talked over or whatever, just get my attention, and I'll make sure you get a chance to speak. Go ahead.
Trying not to tune out after hearing the fear of sectarian violence as a result of immigration in the United Kingdom.
I mean, it's happening though. There was a stabbing attack about 2
yeah, but
weeks
I'm just
ago,
saying it's not exactly like
I'm
just saying you understand that is like not exactly novel to the UK to have sectarian violence as a result of immigration. Do you know what I'm referring to?
It wasn't there. But this is the thing. It wasn't there until recently. So why import?
That's what I'm saying. Okay, you don't know what I'm referring to. It's okay. Okay. You said that you would support Keir Starmer if he lowered net migration.
Yeah, massive.
It's over. It's already over, dude. Dude, it's already over. It's over, dude.
Okay, by how much?
Actually needs to deport people. Probably needs to get it down to like 100,000 people a year, and they need to deport a lot of people part of the Boris wave who came in the last 5 to 10 years.
So he needs to lower net migration by what, like 10%, 20? Compared to the Tory years?
About 90%. It has to go down to like 50 to 100,000 people a year, and they have to basically start deporting people who are Islamic extremists and people who are on foreign benefits and stuff like that, who are not integrating.
So you acknowledge, first of all, just to start, that in the first year, given that he came in halfway through the year, Keir Starmer in 2024 has already got net migration down by half, almost half.
Yeah, from 900,000 to like 450,000, but that's still a really high number, and it still needs to go down to like 50 to 100,000 probably.
Where did you get 50 to 100,000 from? Why is that your standard?
I think that would be probably the most realistic outcome, where Britain could actually start to assimilate the people who've already started coming into the country. You have to lower it significantly, probably by like 90%, because at the current rate of migration, there are sectarian communities forming, and people won't assimilate into the majority population of Britain. That's why you're starting to see creolization. You're starting to see, like, for example, like...
I hope people also realize that crime isn't an issue in any Western country. Yes, I'm being serious. Violent crime hasn't been an issue for the world, for the civilized world, for so many fucking years. You have no idea, okay? Like, it's not even, it's a complete fucking virtue signal, okay? Like, this fear of crime, blah, blah, blah. Violent crime has been going down all over, okay? And, like, generally the world is becoming a more and more peaceful place to live on the streets. Okay, like, yeah, I don't know. Like, you have like some fucking rich suburban family like arguing about like how they're so terrified of crime, and they had that one fucking break-in that one fucking time, I guess, and then that fucking colored their fucking perception of the world for all of eternity. That is the gayest shit ever. Okay, just by the way.
There's literally like new dialects forming in Britain right now. For example, multicultural London English is like literally a new dialect of the English language,
and
that's
has
a
been
sign that
for
people-
like decades. I don't. Which
Yeah, I know,
new
but
languages forming. So because net
Yeah, like,
migration
so-
has been
but-
quite high for the last couple of years. Before then, it
I mean,
was like
like, for
200,
decades.
300,000. But why are you? What metric are you using to say that 90,000 or 100,000? Why does it have to be that? Is 200,000 like going to cause sectarian violence and creolization and all that shit? But 100,000 wouldn't.
You know what? You could have 200,000 Poles come a year and it'd probably be fine. If it's 200,000 people from Afghanistan and from the poorest parts of the Middle East and stuff, it's not going to be fine. So I actually think rather than the numbers, probably actually the
Yeah, Loner should ask him, what if it's like 200,000 poor white people? What if it's like 200,000 Poles who are poor? Romani, I don't know.
cultural origin of the migrants that is the most important thing.
So we've already had quite a lot of like net migration from humanitarian purposes. You know that from the last from the Boris wave, quote unquote. You know that like about 30% of that Boris wave was Ukrainians and British nationals from Hong Kong.
Kongers.
Yeah.
Oh, but the Romani people aren't exactly white. Ugh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, and they're good. They're good migrants. Lonerbox. They're not creating terror attacks. They're not stabbing Jews at synagogues. They're integrating pretty well.
So your issue is that you think migrants are committing more crime? Is that the issue?
Yeah, and that is absolutely the case. So, for example, you can actually look at the statistics, and about one in three sexual assaults in Britain in 2024 was committed by people who are foreign nationals.
1 in 3 sexual assaults.
Yes, that's an actual stat.
Where is it from?
I can get it up for you 1 second. So the foreign population of Britain is 10.9%. Foreign national share of rape convictions is 22.1%, rising to almost 30% when considering people with unidentifiable nationality. Foreign national share of sexual assault convictions is 26.1%, rising to almost 35%.
No, I'm not asking you to recite it from me. I'm asking you where you got it from.
Yeah, I got it from Matthew Goodwin, who was citing freedom of information requests.
Okay. Do you realize that on ONS we have recorded stats of sexual crimes? I don't know why you would need to do an information request and go to a Matthew Goodwin.
I mean, but that's a stat though. Like, are you denying that's a real stat?
Well, I can find you stats from the. Would you be more convinced by stats that are actually from the government, or?
So the Telegraph, for example, foreign nationals convicted of quarter of sex assaults on women, and then a further 8% are offenders of unknown nationalities. So these are official figures, Lonerbox. These are literally official figures.
Wait, how do you know they're official figures?
It's according to the ministry. It's according to the ministry of.
Drop it.
Sorry,
in the group chat,
I'll send you the
and
link.
I will bring it up, and we
send
can see it on stream. How's that?
I'll send
Drop
you
it in the group chat, and I will pull it up and
dropping the link to you right now.
And I'll just find you what is actually on the
I accidentally fucking
like these are literally the stats.
I misclicked.
Well, like very easy to find out. So once you drop it in the group chat there, I will pull it up on stream, and we will.
I don't know how to drop it in the group chat, so I'm just going to send it to you personally.
No, okay.
In a personal message.
That works.
And
Whatever
then you can put it in the chat for me. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, do I have to pay for this?
I mean, it's obviously behind a paywall, but it is the Telegraph, which is a reputable source.
Look, I got ways to deal with this. Hold on, give me a second.
Drawing as a shoe based.
And the thing is, you can actually see very similar statistics all across Europe. So, for example,
so hang on, I'm just looking here at this is from England and Wales. This is from like the entire from ONS stats.
Yeah, you're looking at like grooming gang stats. You're saying child sexual abuse in 2021. I'm not even.
So that's why I'm curious though. If you're talking about like child, so you're saying that migrants are.
This is all sexual.
You're saying that foreigners are equally represented roughly for child sexual abuse, which is the one thing that captures like the entire discourse in the UK, which is grooming. But somehow they're overrepresented for adults.
Yes. So foreign national share of rape convictions is 22.1%, and then a further 8% have unidentified nationality. Many of them would obviously be foreign nationals.
Wait. Do you know what unidentified nationality means?
I mean, obviously it's unidentified, but
as in,
I mean, it's
not getting logged. As in, this is why people struggle to get information from police units about grooming as well, because they request data, but for the majority of the time, they just don't log the ethnicity of the offender.
Okay, but
that could be white, that could be Muslim, that could be anything.
Okay, even if you ignore,
Wait, so it's like 1/3 of it is unidentified, where unidentified means like it could be literally be any kind of ethnicity. And Drew Pavlou interpreted that to be migrant statistic. Is that Am I getting that right?
If you ignore the 8% that are unidentifiable, though, it is a verifiable fact. Foreign national share of rape convictions is 22.1%.
If it was 22.1%, then foreign nationals make up what of the population?
10.9%. So they're
So
they're
8.
twice
So minus
the
minus so minus 8% that we don't know about. That's like
sorry.
there might be a slight
Okay,
overrepresentation.
let me clarify.
No.
So
It's 22
I'll
sorry.
explain. I'll explain.
Okay.
So what
Yeah.
this article is saying and what Drew is claiming is that we have 22.1% that are known, according to this,
Okay.
to have.
I'm interviewing Lonerbox tomorrow. Any questions you want me to ask? Tell him that I would like to reform the bridge with him. Okay, that's all I ask you to do. Okay, thank you.
Been done by
And tell him that it's okay if he doesn't want to. Okay, I totally understand because Mirutsi is a bitch. Okay, ask him, address the Mirutsi bitch allegations. Okay, because I'm not going to come crawling to him unless Mirutsi acknowledges she's a bitch. Okay, anyway, yeah, that's it.
foreign nationals. There is, in addition to that, 8% more that is unidentified, whatever that means.
Ask him yourself, Kyle. He blocked me. He blocked me on Discord. I don't think I can DM him on Twitter. But yeah.
That is the claim. So it's not 22.1 minus.
So
8.
The base level here is 22.9% of foreign 22.9% of foreign nationals. That's the base level.
Ooh.
And then it
Oh wait, I can actually message him. Okay. Yeah, up to you. I don't care.
it could be as high as
22.1%, but
it could 22.1, and then it could go as high as 30%, determining based on how many people in the unidentifiable bracket would be foreign nationals.
Even though for the UK, we know that from people trying to investigate grooming gangs that people are more likely to log the ethnicity if they're a foreigner because they find it more relevant.
No, that's actually not true. So if you look at the Casey report into the grooming gangs, the recent one, that actually found that there was a systematic underreporting of ethnic data. She found that there was systematic shying away from reporting.
That's not what I said. Yes, there's as in general, most stats don't have ethnicity next to them from older data. That doesn't mean that it's under.
Oh, you know what? Ask him only one question, okay? Ask him the question, why is it that he's such a handsome goat boy? Like, why is it that he's such a cute little curly-haired goat boy? Okay, ask him that, okay? That's the only question you should ask.
Reporting foreigners.
So I can actually, I'll quote you the case report. It says the ethnicity of perpetrators is shied away from and still not recorded in 2/3 of cases, meaning it's not possible to draw conclusions at a national level for grooming gangs.
Okay,
so you're saying
that's exactly what I said.
Obviously, so it is a different. So there's two different things here, right? There's the grooming gangs, and then there's the share of sexual assaults committed by foreign nationals. And you're saying that in a lot of cases, there's not proper reporting. But we're saying that literally as a baseline percentage, it's 22.1%. That what I pointed to. If you consider, then there's another 8% of that are unidentifiable, and then the rest are like, say, British nationals.
Okay, but
and what is this from?
So we're saying that we've got 21 versus foreign nationals are I think in 2021 they were 16%.
10.9. 10.9% foreign nationals.
Born abroad, it's 16 from the 2021-22 census.
What I've got is 10.9%.
From when though? This is from the 2021 census. 16%.
What
people in the UK have been born abroad.
Okay, even if that's the case, it's still massively
underrepresented. That's not massively. Remember that migrants in general are much younger. Like the average Muslim in the UK is like 20 years younger than the average Brit. We know that younger people commit more crime. So you would expect a slight overrepresentation of a few percentage points.
Okay. Why would you expect that though? Because they don't have to be in the country. So it's a question, why do you want them in the country?
I don't know. Just ask whatever you want, okay? Just say that, I'm open for a bridge with him. And I sincerely apologize for any behaviors I've done in the past. However, Mirutsi seems to have a grudge against me. I do not like your head mod, but maybe we can make amends, okay? But without the approval of your head mod, because she's a whore, okay? I'm sorry, not a whore, a bitch. Sorry, I don't know why that came out, okay? I am misogynistic.
Oh, so we don't. But you're in favor of some immigration. Your arbitrary standard of 100K for some reason, but.
Yeah, I am in favor of some level of migration. My main problem is culturally incompatible migration. So, for example, most of the Middle East and North Africa is pretty incompatible to Britain in terms of migration.
In what way? In terms of when they're here? So you said crime. Their crime rates are about the same. Their crime rates are about terrorism. No, their crime rates are about what you would expect. Their crime rates are about what you would expect from a younger population. Younger people commit more crime.
Okay, let me go through some of these stats. Freedom of information requests in the UK find North Africans are convicted for sexual offences at nearly 7 times the rate of British people, Middle Easterners at nearly 4 times the rate, Sub-Saharan Africans at nearly 3 times the rate. People from Afghanistan and Eritrea, two of the largest groups on the small boats, are more than 20 times more likely than British nationals to be convicted of sexual offences, including rape and sexual assault. Foreign nationals are more than 3 times as likely as British nationals to be arrested for sexual offences, are responsible for 2/3 of sex offence arrests in London, and are twice as likely to be arrested for all crimes as British nationals. In total, 87 nationalities in the UK have higher conviction rates for rape and other sexual offences than British nationals, and recently the British state has given out nearly 600,000 long-term visas to people from those countries.
Do you think it's ironic that this person that you're quoting from, who is saying that they got it from a freedom of information request, I'm guessing they didn't show like a table or anything or like a government data that they actually got from that, right?
I mean, I'll send you the link. I'll send you the link.
You can tell me if you've read it. Is it yes or no?
Yeah, it's data from the Ministry of Justice. It's literally data from the Ministry of Justice. So you'll have to explain to us why the Ministry of Justice is wrong on this.
Well, it's not that they're wrong. It's that the person you're using. What did they give from the Ministry of Justice? Because when you look at crime rates across ethnicities, when they break it down by nationality, whether it's Bangladeshi, Pakistani, Arab, white, it seems to be that overall, in general, for crime, including when you account for indictable offences, which are the ones that are the most serious ones, the ones that are most likely to get you in jail, these groups are not as overrepresented as you're saying even for indictable offences. So why would it be that in general, government data, which covers crime quite broadly, that's what you get when you look at ONS, you get crimes, you get indictable offences, you get minor offences, you get stats for that. And it seems that the representation rates are a little bit higher, which can be accounted for by them being a much younger population. So it's just weird that ONS is telling me that, but this guy is saying they got a freedom of information request and they found one crime in particular that has a lot more representation.
I mean, would you say that it's literally just because they're young, or do you think there is any level of cultural aspect that could lead to higher rates of offending against women?
In the UK?
Like, do you think, for example, that like Pakistanis have a better culture for feminism and, you know, respect towards women than the UK?
Probably not, which is why their offence rates are a little bit higher from ONS.
Well, not just a little bit higher.
About 2% higher than whites. Higher. Well, again, ONS has them at 2% higher than whites, but...
Okay,
for crime in general.
Okay.
I mean, I have cited to you sources that show that, you know, up to a quarter of all sexual offences in Britain are basically imported by the government through mass migration, and that is Ministry of Justice statistics, and you don't really have an answer for that.
Well, why does ONS not show you stats for rape in particular? Why can I get this on ONS?
But I'm giving you the stats right now. I've given you the sources.
I'm asking you to explain then. Why are they about equally represented on on general crimes and even indictable crimes? But just for some reason, you've gone to a Telegraph source and found.
But it's not the Telegraph. It's freedom of information requests based on ONS data.
So you've told me it's freedom of information requests based on ONS data, but then Ministry of Justice.
Why don't you read the article? Why don't you read the article?
Well, you're telling
the Ministry of Justice gave the data.
You're telling me two different things about the same article. So you can link it. I'm still looking at I'm looking at the DMs. I can't see a link here.
I'll send it to Wick.
You can put in the shared group chat. Me, you, and Lonerbox have, right?
I was trying to do that. It didn't work, but I'll just send it to Wick.
Okay.
And then you can hopefully put it in the group chat for me,
okay.
please.
In any case, if your issue was crime, wouldn't your issue be with Windrush, with the black population in the UK more than the Muslim population? Because their crime rates across the board, and including in indictable crimes, are actually quite a bit higher. Why focus on Muslims?
Obviously, I mean, there have been obviously a lot of problems with the Windrush generation too, but I think there's more problems overall with the Islamic community because there's also.
Why does X keep thinking I'm a bot? Like, why does this keep happening? What? It's so fucking weird. Like, I'm genuinely trying to message someone, right? I'm messaging Lonerbox, okay? But like, I'm trying to message someone, and it's like, it's just so cucked. It's just so fucking weird.
Terrorism to consider as well. There's also
terrorism counts as crime. I think it's like 1% of Muslim prisoners are in jail for terrorism.
So what? Like, there shouldn't even be 0. There shouldn't even be 1 in the country. Why would there be anyone in the country who's a terrorist?
I don't know. Why do we have like local white terrorists? Why do we have like Darren Osborne running his vehicle into a mosque and killing people? Like, why do we have that? You know?
Okay,
yeah, of course, for any population, you're going to have violence. Yeah.
Like, yeah, but like, why would you choose to bring in a population that commits terrorism at a pretty high rate?
What do you mean a pretty high rate? Do you have like ONS data on terrorism rates from Muslim immigrants as well?
I mean, we could just literally point to, you know, all the recent terrorist attacks that we've seen in Britain. Like, for example,
that's not stats. That's not statistics. 7/7 was like almost 20 years ago.
Yeah,
We have serial
multiple
killers. We have like
sociopaths
Fred
that
West. We have Jimmy Savile. We have like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, but here's a difference, Lonerbox.
Drew, just
There are British native-born serial killers and evil people, yes, but it's a choice to then import people who do that into your country from a foreign nationality.
So this is from the article that you linked, Drew, and I have it up on the stream screen. You can read. It says and this is fact checking basically the Farage's numbers here. It says our estimates conclude that Afghans are closer to 3 times more likely to be convicted of sexual offense than someone born in the UK, rather than 22 times.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Although limitations to the data, let me finish.
Yeah.
Although limitations to the data, which we will explain later on, mean that it is not currently possible to accurate conclusion.
Yeah, because do you know how many Afghans who were convicted in the space of 2 years that they based this data on? 77. That's 77 too many. That is going to be your response. But
that is
out of how many Brits who were convicted of sexual violence at the same time? 14,270.
But can you explain though, like, why would you want to have 77 people who are rapists from a foreign nationality in your country?
Probably because, in terms of any decision that we make, whether or not when we choose to allow certain communities that are more crime-ridden to have babies instead of aborting them and doing eugenics, the same reason that we do immigration is because generally when you have large numbers, what? Okay, well done for following.
I don't want eugenics.
Yes, well done for following. Okay, well, why not? Because why would you want to have a population that commits more crime? You know, like in Carlton and Glasgow, those people commit. No, I mean, like,
let them into the country.
So you're against eugenics, but not immigration, even though the idea you're saying that because a non-zero number of these people commit crimes, that's a reason to keep them all out of the country. Poles commit crimes. Irish people commit a lot of crime when they came here.
All right. Pray to God. Okay, I just messaged Lonerbox. Here, I'll read it out. Okay, so then there is full transparency between me and my audience. Okay. Yeah, this is like the only avenue I have left to communicate with him. Hopefully he sees this. But hey, it is what it is. Hello, Lonerbox. It's Foodshops. I would like to reconnect our bridge, and I'm here to sincerely apologize for any past grievances. It's understandable if you reject me because of my connection with Destiny, or because I'm not forgiven, or because Marusi hates me. But but let me know, and I'm also up to recontact. Blah. We share a lot of similar political beliefs, and we are both lived out people who are against leftists and against moderates at the same time. So I can see us having a mutually beneficial relationship. But of course, if you would like to stay separate, I respect your choice. And furthermore, I'm one of the only ones that cover drama and news from this space. I think this is pretty mutually, I think this is a very cordial message, right? This is cordial message. This is a very cordial message, right? Yeah, I don't know. Like, this isn't rude. This isn't entitled. Yeah, we'll see.
Much lower rates.
The rate of Irish immigration crime rate was
I'll give you
much lower.
He's a great statistic.
Hang on, Drew, did you just say that the rate of Irish immigrants coming to the UK in the 18th was much lower than the rate of Muslims today for crime?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay, you walked it back. That's fine. Okay, good. That was fucking mental. What are you talking about?
Okay, I didn't even hear what you said. What I was going to say.
Why'd you answer
I was going to point, for example, no, because I was trying to get to my next point. I was going to quote to you, for example. So these are statistics from Germany, for example, and they're quite similar to Britain. You see these statistics basically similar all across Europe. The data.
Drew, you just quoted data based on 77 Afghans in the space of 2 years, as opposed to 14,000 people. I'm not going to let you skip over to a different country where I'm less familiar with the data collection that they have and with the whoever does their national statistics as well. If you can't even be accurate on the UK one, like that's an important detail. That's an important detail. This data came from 77 Afghans.
77 rapists, yes, and
so even if 77 of them, even if out of 1 million Muslims, if 77 of them are rapists, that is an excuse to keep them all out.
It's not just 70. It's not just 77.
No, if it were, you're saying 77 out of the Afghan population, because between 2021 and 23, we had a good we had quite a few thousand Afghans come to the UK because of the refugee crisis. So when you're saying that 77 is enough to exclude an entire nation, then you'd exclude any nation. You'd exclude Poles for that.
Well, no, let me explain to you, right? You're familiar with the fact that the vast majority of sexual offences in Britain are never result in conviction.
So you can just make up the stats?
No, but that is true though. It's true. The vast majority of sexual assaults in Britain never even end up in a conviction because it is very hard to get rape convictions.
Yeah, and that means that the rate from everyone would be higher, doesn't it?
Yes, but it also means that the 77 rapes from the Afghan community would be higher than what it was in reality.
Yeah, and that's the same with everyone. We're trying to talk about proportionality, which is why I don't know why you wouldn't just stick to, because we have very reliable across the entire nation stats on crime, arrest rates, conviction rates, custodial sentence rates, and not to mention on indictable crimes, which are the worst crimes. We have stats by nation for all of these crimes, but you want to go on to the one that's like more opaque and harder to report and harder to get access to figures to when you have to limit your sample to 77 Afghans. Why not just go with the crime rates that are sweeping across the entire nation that you can just get on ONS without doing a free
Oh, oh, I get what he means. Okay, I get what he's talking about. Sorry, I'm just like slowly trying to reconnect myself with this debate. Okay, what he's specifically talking about is like, why do you have to go through? Why do you have to like cherry pick specific like information that supports your argument? And like generally, it's not information that a lot of people would like typically turn to in order to show that, oh yeah, this demographic of people are causing a lot of trouble, right? Because it's like, okay, why not just go to these very straightforward peer checked research that is reliable and have been used for years. Like, why don't you use these studies that show that immigrants are not, that immigrants are not violent, when you are specifically trying to cherry pick specific pieces of data represented possibly dishonestly in a way where you can use it for propaganda. And there's obviously, like in my opinion, there's obviously a financial incentive to do it as well. Okay. So yeah, like that's a good question. Okay. Because conservatives will do this a lot where they will pick out like the one study that like agrees with them, but then every single fucking other peer-reviewed study that is constantly like peer-reviewed and backed up and cross-examined, they ignore that. They completely ignore that and say that the scientific institutions are corrupt and stuff like that. But the scientific institutions are not corrupt when it comes to studies that they support, right? Oh yeah, that is like fact finding. Well, why is it that all the fucking fact seeking and truth saying like studies, the ones that like automatically and conveniently support their argument as well, right? So yeah, there's like a bunch of hypocrisy. And you know, that is a fallacy, I guess. It's like cherry picking data and shit. That is like bad faith. That is like doing it in bad faith, yeah.
No information request or anything else? Is it because it doesn't give you the answer that you want?
I just want you to know, like, why is it that people in Britain?
And by the way, like this is a very consistent thing across like all the fucking conservative populations across the world. Okay, anytime they want to just argue, like literally anytime they want to argue, that like, oh yeah, like here is a demographic of people who are violent and murderous and evil. But I'm gonna like they all do the same thing. They all cherry pick data. All of them are cherry picking data, which is why it makes that specifically like a fallacy, rather than like a yeah. It's a very common thing that happens. Okay. And I suspect that's what Drew is also doing here. I don't know what exactly, like what data that is being presented here. I'm not sure like where the studies are. I would love to see the study like fucking things that Drew is pointing to because they sound retarded. But migrant crime in the UK per capita.
And have to be raped by foreigners. Why is it the case?
They don't have.
Why do they have to?
Why is it that someone has to get?
But that is the result. Why is it the result?
Okay, why is it that people? Why is it that people in Glasgow have to get fucking knife threats from people born in Carlton? Because we could really just like not allow those families to give birth, couldn't we?
Unfortunately, there is always going to be a native-born criminal element. That will always happen.
And there's always going to be a foreign-born criminal element, isn't there?
But it's not necessarily the case that you have to bring foreigners into your country from places of the world that are very culturally dissimilar to you.
So it's about culture. You don't care about the crime rates. The crime rates are not that different, especially if you count for their age. The crime rates are not that different.
Significant.
No, they're not. Show me the crime rates are significant.
Hold on, just real quick.
I mean,
hold on, stop, Drew, real quick. I want to finish up the crime, but then I do want to get to the culture point. So we'll finish up the crime portion of this. Then I do have a question for Drew and Lonerbox, actually, on why culture matters or if it does when it comes to these things. But go ahead. I'm just letting you know.
Can I respond?
Yeah, I'm letting you.
So this article that I linked, even though it says that Nigel Farage was wrong that it was up to 22 times higher, it's still multiple times higher. And so the question is, why would you have any times higher? And here's a good example, right? In Germany, and I will cite this statistic. One second. Let me bring it up. In Germany, Algerians are suspects in violent crimes at 17 times the rate that native Germans are. 25,000 Algerian citizens live in Germany. 1729 was
Did you just say suspects?
2023. No. we're charged by police. So 39,000 Japanese citizens live in Germany. 2 were charged by police for violent crimes in 2023. So that's a 135,000 time percentage higher rate for Algerian criminals in Germany compared to Japanese criminals. And why is that the case? Obviously, there are cultural differences between groups, right? Lonerbox.
I'm just going to go with. Sorry, I'm just going to go with the country that we were here to talk about because I'm not going to let you go with whatever like random fucking assertion that you've got from different countries. Because
did you say Japan? Dude, the fucking fetishization of Japanese shit is so fucking weird. Like, I'm sorry, you want to be like, it's a fucking dying country, okay? Like, their last fucking prime minister, not including the current one, who is like a female or whatever, right? It was like Shinzo Abe was like assassinated, like, bro.
If I can't even trust you, if I can't even trust you to accept stats from the ONS about crime rates for ethnic groups in the UK, even when we break it down by nationality, why am I going to trust what you say about Germany? Fuck off.
No, I mean, why would it be different in Britain than it is to Germany? Like,
I don't think it's. I don't know if it's different than Germany. I'm not talking about Britain versus Germany. I'm talking about your brain and your capability of being able to acknowledge national data.
Yeah, so if we look at the arrest rate for every 1,000 people for ethnicity, like we can just take a look. It's not even disputed that like black people, black other, are essentially like, but I'm not entirely sure like what that entails. I don't know what black other means specifically. I don't know what that other part of that means, right? Like, because it's like all like arrest rate for every 1,000 people by ethnicity, well, 11.2, which is probably the aggregate average or something like of all of these things. If you look at Indian Pakistani, 11.3, 4.5, right, 8.7, it drastically varies between some of the migrant groups to the point where you have to separate them out into different categories. But then we have like Black Other, which is so crazy, it breaks the limit. 52.4, okay? You have to account for the age of person arrested. Immigrants tend to skew younger and younger. People tend to commit more crimes, sure. But like you can, yeah, I don't know, you can just take a look at this, okay? Yeah. And it's kind of funny to me because white people seem to be like white British seem to be like more likely to be arrested than Pakistani. Not Pakistani, but like Asian or Bangladeshi or Indian. So good one. Okay, all right, anyway.
The most reliable data that we have, and you not seeming able to accept the fact that by country, countries like Bangladesh, Pakistan, even wherever the third one was, Arabs as well, even by these ethnic groups, we have crimes across the entire country for these crimes broken down into arrest, into custodial sentences, into indictable crimes, ones that are more likely to get you put into jail, and their overrepresentation is slightly higher, but accountable for the fact that they're younger. But you can't accept that for some reason, even though that's the most reliable data we have.
You still don't have a response to the fact that 20%.
That's the most reliable data that we have. What is your answer to that? Do you accept it? Do you accept it as real or not?
I mean, I've just given you Ministry of Justice statistics, and you're not accepting that as real.
Because I can
Ministry of Justice.
Can you get that from the actual Ministry of Justice page? Can you get that from the ONS, or do you have to?
No, the Ministry of Justice supplied the statistics, and then these statistics were then provided to the press, and I've sent you multiple news articles related to it.
So why can't you if you think that they're overrepresented in this one crime, but not even in like indictable crimes for some reason? Why is that? Can you accept that? Can you accept that they are somehow about equally?
Oh, okay. So I'm currently reading right now. Young adults are more likely to commit crimes regardless of nationality, right? Okay, so I think that is a pretty important part, I think, to what that means, right? Like, this is pretty important, I think. Young adults are more likely to commit crimes regardless of nationality, and non-citizens in the UK are more likely to be young adults. If we do not control for age, the share of non-citizens receiving convictions, 13%, or in prison, 12.4% in 2024 in England and Wales, appears to be roughly similar to the share of non-citizens in the age 16 plus population. That share was estimated at around 12% in 2024 in a survey that tends to undercount recent migrants and has not fully captured the unusually high levels of migration seen between 2021 and 2024. If we control for age and sex, non-citizens are underrepresented in the prison population. Convictions and incarceration rates. Okay. It seems to be a lot more complicated than like you could be like willing to claim here, right? Immigrants are usually 20 to 40 years old. Is that true? Okay. That actually makes sense, right? What data are available on criminal offenses and citizenship? The highest quality data we currently have on non-citizens in the criminal justice system is on the prison population, right? That makes sense. Because you can just force them to participate in the study and in fucking accountability shit and, you know, fucking studies and shit. Because they're locked up. What can you do about them? They can't do anything. Hello? God save the Queen, all that palaver. Sorry. Oh, it's a fucking PDF. Ha, PDF? Get it? Ha! PDF? You don't get it because you don't understand. It's a secret. Oh, it's the ODS. It's not even a PDF. What the fuck? Hello? Wait. Wider population. I wish there was like better data on this. Like nobody cares about UK like statistics, to be honest, even though everyone likes talking about it. Foreign national share of the prison population compared to the wider population. Wider population. Nationality. EEA nationals, non-EEA nationals. Oh, like English. Is this like English people? Okay. Prison population, 11%. Foreign nationals, 12%. This is lower than the group share of the wider population. This just confuses me, I feel like. English and Wales. Northern Ireland. What the fuck? Oh. Scotland. How do convictions and incarceration vary by offense type? Okay. How do conviction and incarcerations vary by nationality? Lithuania is at the very top, 143.5. All foreign citizens is 72.9. So Lithuania and Latvia, Romania, Slovakia, and Poland are all... Wait, this is the largest nationalities in totem, right? No, this is conviction rate. This is conviction rate per 10,000. Yeah. Okay, so this is conviction rate per 10,000. We have like 5 fucking white as fuck countries that are all higher than all foreign citizens. Yeah, wait, what's the issue? Conviction, yeah, like conviction rate is the most important thing, right? Like conviction is like, oh yeah, you're literally like, you are accused, you are proven guilty, right? Like this is proven to be guilty. Yeah, Lithuania, Bangladesh, Nigeria, Netherlands, and all foreigners at 20.5. Like this really is it's just a complete fucking concern troll. Because the truth is that if you're actually worried about like violence rates or like fucking migrant crime or something like that, or any kind of crime rates in total, to be honest, like you would be advocating for deporting a bunch of white people. So yeah, there you go. All right. Well,
presented in pretty much every other crime. Like,
I mean, maybe. You're right. Maybe you're
Why,
right.
no, not maybe. Do you want me to send you the ONS page?
Sure, send it through. Send it through. I still think that even if it were to be the case that, like, for example, Afghans were only 3 times more likely to be convicted of sexual assault in Britain, then I still think that's still unacceptable to
based on a,
massive
it's not based on a sample of 77 offenders. I mean,
but there's a small amount of Afghans in the community, and there were still 77 offenders. That is still that still shows a large overrepresentation. Because if you then had millions of Afghans in the country, then of course the number of sexual assaults based on that disproportionate representation would be higher.
Why? So you're going with the idea that they are about equally represented in every crime, apparently arrest rates, custodial,
I'm not sure.
everything, including indictable crimes. But for some reason they're overrepresented in sexual violence. But not even against kids, because against kids they're equally represented as well.
No, that's not even true. Because for example, in the grooming gang, I mean, no, but I did point you to the fact that the Casey report showed with the grooming gangs inquiries that there was systematic shying away from recording of ethnic data in the cases. That this was a major failing. It meant that it was extremely hard to draw conclusions at a national level. It did say that the report found in 3 areas: Greater Manchester, South Yorkshire, and West Yorkshire, disproportionate numbers of men from Asian ethnic background, Pakistani background, were suspects for group-based sex.
They found that, and you'll also acknowledge that the Casey report said that this was from places where there were high-profile instances of a quite rare crime in the country. Which means if you have, like the mafia, for example, if you have a exceptional kind of crime and a rare kind of crime, a subset of a subset of a subset of a crime, then yeah, if you go to a place where there's a high-profile case, you're going to see skewed data. And Casey said that, and you ignored that. I don't know why you didn't mention that. Casey said that is not applicable to the country. For the country, for sexual violence, the one where we have data from the entire country for CSA, again, they are about equally represented. And that's on page 38 of what I sent you.
Well, I don't know if it's equally represented, because I do have statistics from the Ministry of Justice that you haven't responded to that show that they're up to 1/3 of sexual assaults.
I have responded to it.
No, you just said that you don't believe it.
Is that all I said? Did I not ask you? Did I not tell you why there was maybe an issue with that?
I mean, this data was drawn from the Police National Computer by the Ministry of Justice following an FOI by the Centre for Migration Control. I wish to make a Freedom of Information request. Of the 1,453 sexual assault convictions which took place, 380 were of foreign nationals, while a further 118 were of nationals recorded as unknown. The number will be foreign, and thus a number will be foreign nationals.
Wait. So they didn't. So they said they got the data from the government. Center for Migration Control is a think tank committed to dramatically reducing migration in Britain. Really? You want me to trust these guys' word of what they heard from the ONS over the ONS itself? Why would you do that?
It's Ministry of Justice statistics. They
not.
Gave the statistics. They provided the number of convictions for sexual assault on a female across England and Wales in the year 2024, and then they broke down the number of people who were foreign nationals.
I mean, they're telling you that they've done that, right? But they don't actually have the ONS raw data there, because ONS has raw data. You can go and find it publicly. I don't know why you would go with taking the word off of a think tank that's goal is to reduce dramatically migration. I don't know why you would do that over just looking at the ONS with the data that we have nationwide. We have nationwide data on...
Sorry, I'm trying to search up good data, but it's really hard to find it. Like, it just seems like nobody actually gives a fuck. Yeah.
So many different subsets of arrest, conviction, indictable conviction. We have all of that, but you're just choosing the one that you prefer, the one that makes you happier.
Okay.
I mean,
you can respond, but then I have a question for both of you.
Okay, you go, Wick.
Okay. And it's very simple. Well, maybe not. What does it mean to be British? Okay.
Actually, can I say one last thing? Can we stay on the crime thing for one last thing before we go into
finish, and then you can. This goes into the issue.
All right, using the ONS data, what does that mean? UK keeps all track of countries full of conservative retards that blame immigrants for everything. Our latest report reveals a stark decline in identified child sexual abuse by Children's Services. Trends in official data. Full report, PDF. Haha, get it? PDF? Okay, sorry.
Issue of culture and what cultures are compatible or incompatible.
I find everything.
And to what level they are, and whether or not the cultures that are coming in to Britain are incompatible with Britain itself. So I'll give you the mic first to you, Drew.
I think Britain is a nation that has existed essentially for 1,000 years. England has existed for about 1,000 years. They're coherent nations. I think it is primarily something that there is an ethnic component to it. It's not just it's not necessarily as blank slate as, for example, the United States. I mean, the United.
Bro, it is time to deport all the white people, dude. It is time to deport all the white people. What is this? But I'm pretty sure this is not per capita, right? Yeah, I don't think this is per capita. What is the per capita statistic of this? Okay. You can clearly see here, okay, white, okay? Defendants proceeded against for child sexual abuse offense, okay? 90%, Asian 5%, black 2%, mixed or multiple 2%. Like, it's not even close. Like, I feel like when it comes to overall, but this is not per capita, right? Like, this technically is not per capita. Per capita is higher for immigrants if Loner is correct. Oh, okay. But the skew is because of age. And if you control for age, it's pretty much the same. Oh. Like if you compare age to age, right? Like if you compare age to age. Right, because you can see that this teal color here is 23%. This green color is 20%. So you're saying that both races are 23% and 20%? Is that what you're saying? Like for all of these age groups, okay, these are the various ages, okay? You're saying for all of these age groups, if you try to control for age, like all the age groups are basically the same, right? 3%, 6%, 20%, 23%, 6%. Okay. Okay.
It does have this tradition of being kind of a country of migrants, but I think Britain, like while it has had waves of migration, I think it is slightly different to America, which has that sort of like founding creed. I think there is an ethnic component to the nationality. Doesn't mean that people can't assimilate and be culturally British and stuff like that, but there is an ethnic component, and I think it would be regrettable if the English people ethnically were a minority of England after 1,000 years.
Okay. What does that mean, though, to be culturally British? I guess I'll ask again. What does that mean?
Well,
To assimilate- what is an example of someone who's assimilated to be culturally British? What would that look like?
I think you would basically need them to be willing to die for the country, to defend the country. And there's systematic sort of like, there are a lot of communities that don't join up to the military in Britain at the same rates. You have to basically have your first loyalty to Britain above, for example, religious or sectarian interests. And you have Islamic extremists in Britain like Muhammad Hijab or Dili Hussein who very openly say that their allegiance is to Islam and not to Britain. So that's a huge problem.
Okay. Lonerbox, same question to you. What does it mean to be British, and what does it mean to be culturally British? I guess.
What it means to be culturally British, I don't really think about it.
It means anything you want it to mean. Okay, it literally means anything you want it to mean. Like that's literally it. That's literally
Choose like that all that much. I'd rather just think about like what kind of policies can help people, like what we can do to improve the economy and the healthcare system, and to have fairness, to have like relatively low crime rates, so people can be safe, to have like some kind of level of sense of community for people. I really, when people talk about how we need to be more culturally British, I mean, Drew kind of gave the game away right at the beginning.
What you want people to like drink more tea or something? Like is that what it is? Like you just want people to drink more tea and biscuit and crumpets, or
it really just boils down to them wanting to have an ethnic makeup for its own sake.
Well, Israel has an ethnic makeup. I mean, Israel has an ethnic makeup. Israel has
not for its own sake. Israel has an ethnic makeup because it's surrounded by people that would otherwise like ruin them. Like Jews cannot survive as a minority in that region.
Yeah, and I don't think it would be good for the English people if they were a minority in England either.
English people are a minority in like white English people are a minority in London. Are they fucked because of that? Well, in the same way that Israelis Jews would be if they were a minority in the Middle East?
No, maybe not as bad as Israeli Jews being a minority in the Middle East, but I still think that there's been some pretty bad changes in London. There's terrible cases of terrorism. There's terrible cases of Islamic extremism. There's terrible incidents of crime. People feel culturally alienated and atomized. I want you to explain why it would be a good thing for English people to be a minority in England.
I don't think there's a good or bad thing about an ethnic makeup changing for its own.
Yeah, exactly. It just is. You are the one that has to make an argument and provide evidence why it is a bad thing for the white people to be like a lesser fucking population, okay? Like you're the one that has to provide that.
Sake. What I think right now for this country,
the current policy is changing it though. The current policy is changing it, so you have to justify.
Do you think the intent of the current policy is to? It's not just policy that's changing.
I don't think it's the intent, but I don't think it's an intent. I'm not going into the whole this is a deliberate great replacement thing, but it is an observable fact that this current policy is changing things, and you have to try to justify why that's a good thing.
Because otherwise, we are a country that has an aging population. We are a country, Scotland, for example, its population is set to get lower without migration. We cannot sustain a national health service, a growing economy, a fairly liberal capitalist economy with a shrinking population or with an aging population. Because again, you tell me then, what is one country, one developed, successful country in the world that's a liberal democracy that doesn't take in like fairly high numbers of immigration?
Japan. Literally Japan.
You want to be like Japan?
Japan is much better than Britain right now, and it has.
Japan with its like fucking high rates of child sexual abuse. Like it's inordinately, incredibly high rates of child sexual abuse compared to so many fucking other. I mean, if you choose Japan, that's fine. Okay, just because they make anime, I guess, or something. I don't know, some stupid, silly fucking thing.
Higher GDP per capita, lower inequality, less crime.
Just, by the way, all these East Asian countries are dying, okay? Like, they're literally dying. Like, literally bleeding. They're bleeding, okay? The reason why they're bleeding is because they are incredibly stubborn when it comes to their work culture, and nobody has time to make children, because if you try to make children, you are behind in the rat race, okay? So you either reform the entirety of the capitalistic work culture system in these countries, or you just import more black people, okay? Just simply import all the brown and black people, all right? They'll fuck around and make a bunch of kids and make beautiful brown babies, okay? We can all be beautiful and brown together, all right? And then everyone will benefit, okay? You'll keep the culture alive because all of these mixed babies will celebrate the culture like 100% because they're going to be born and raised there. The older people can teach the younger generation how to participate in the culture. They need to open up their minds to do it. You get to provide an entirely new workforce as well, and it will be very economically stimulating. All right. Yeah, there's just so many fucking benefits to it. Yeah.
Less terrorism in so many different ways. Japan is literally superior to Britain right now.
Japan is not superior to Britain right now. Japan's had economic issues for the last like 3 decades. Okay, their debt is like spiraling. Japan is like
their economy is literally better than Britain.
Do you understand that Japan is currently increasing migration because they cannot sustain their state? At a very low rate. It's at a low rate because people lose their.
Yeah, and it's not enough. Okay, I think people commonly forget like how racist a lot of like Japanese people actually are. Like, for example, like wasn't there like literally a lot of like protests with like the fucking imperial flag of Japan, like the fucking Nazi flag equivalent, of like people bringing up like imperial Japan flags, like when there's like protesting against immigrants, like what the fuck? Yeah, like, yeah.
Shit whenever migrants come to Japan. People freak the fuck out.
Which is good.
And it's also the fact that in Japan
should remain culturally cohesive. I want Japan to remain a Japanese society.
For the sake of them.
It was a protest of the 10 people from 2020. Really? They still brought up the flag, right? Like they still brought up the fucking flag.
Becoming an aging population and not being.
Japanese love immigrants. Hold on, let me see. You're saying Loner is wrong here? Is that what you're saying?
Able to sustain anything that they've currently got and having a tanking economy.
It's better than Japan basically becoming culturally unrecognizable. Nations can recover from war. Nations can recover even from 2 atomic bombs on their cities, but they can't recover from being completely ethnically terraformed. The demographics just changing forever.
So for the sake of demographics, really, you would have a shrinking economy. Yes. You would have a tanking welfare state.
Japan is. Dude, the British welfare state's tanking right now as we speak. The economy in Britain is so bad. You've had the Boris wave and it's not leading to any economic growth at all. So what's the point?
The Boris wave was because of horrible mismanagement of immigration, quite a lot of which has been reversed. I don't know if you're satisfied by that.
Let's go through some of the British economic statistics, right? I researched them. Borrowing $100 billion this year, 13% up this year.
You're talking about borrowing when you just brought up Japan. Are you fucking mental?
No, I'm going into this.
Which country? Wait. Which country among advanced economies has the high?
They used to be a lot more xenophobic like 20 years ago. Have they changed their stance just simply because they recognize the issue for what it is? Like, are they more aware now of the issue at hand and that's why they changed their stance? Or could it be another reason? Like, what actually caused the 20... Like, what actually caused the 2020 fucking... I don't know. 20-year change?
Highest debt to GDP ratio.
Japan has.
Okay.
Japan,
why would you bring up borrowing as your first example? Oh my god!
But I'm giving you an example, Lonerbox. You're not even listening to me. You're saying that
because I'm not hearing about it. Does that make sense? If the people really support it and the people are okay with it, there's literally no reason to not like just simply increase mass immigration and like encourage mass immigration, if anything, right? Does that make sense? Like, why isn't it happening right now? Like, why isn't it happening right now? I just don't. I just feel like I haven't heard of it from conservative Twitter, just mainly because I feel like they would throw a fucking uproar over their beautiful like fucking Japanese waifus like being ruined by gigantic black men with gigantic cocks or some shit. I don't know.
Borrowing is a bad thing. Japan has so much debt. I'm pointing to the fact that Britain is, like, its debt is exploding. It is borrowing all this stuff. And you've got high migration. So it doesn't even make sense. It's not even working. So far, that Britain has a £72 billion deficit this year. Public sector net debt is up to 94% of GDP, the highest since the 1960s. Last month alone, £10 billion in interest, £60 billion in debt interest this year. So you've got the debt problem and you've got high migration at the same time. So how does that work?
What do you mean? What do you mean the debt problem? All countries have debt and growing debts because for multiple reasons. Not the highest debt to GDP of the entire developed world. And not to mention that the OBI.
Oh, Radiant, I need you to see some data, okay? I need you to see some data about increases in immigration and recognition of problem and overall, perception on immigration. Because I searched it up and it seems like the last set of data is from 2018. Yeah, that's way too long ago. I need to see the data for 2024.
In the UK, which actually handles economic forecasts, is quite clear on this, that lowering migration increases deficits and debt. Because migrants are younger, they're working age, they can contribute more to the exchequer.
Okay, I actually dispute that.
So why
point,
was
and
that?
I'll
Why was
explain
that your first
Oh,
example to compare it to Japan?
Lonerbox, you're not even listening to me. I'm pointing out to you. You're using Japan as a bad example because Japan has so much debt. I'm pointing to the fact that Britain is getting into more and more debt. It is struggling economically. There's no growth in Britain, but you've had massive high levels of migration, the highest levels of migration in Britain's entire.
Hold on, wasn't Drew the one that brought up the fucking thing? Wasn't Drew the one that brought up the fucking like Japan in the first place? Like, just to be clear, right? Like, he brought up Japan in the first place. So if you want to argue on the topic of Japan, like, wouldn't you want to argue on the facts concerning it? Yeah, I don't know, because it was Drew's like statement that, oh, Japan is a much better country than Britain right now. Okay, then you can't just stand on immigration numbers. You also have to stand on economic statistics.
History in the entire 1,000-year history of Britain. So why is it not leading to economic growth?
To Japan. Foreign residents in Japan, China, Korea, Vietnam, Philippines, USA, USA. Oh, so it's increasing. Yeah, it is increasing. Interesting. Okay. Not stupid. What's the people's views on it? Immigrant integration into Japanese society. In 2015, 9,469 applications for Japanese citizenship were approved. That's quite a little, I think. Like, that seems to be a tiny amount. I don't know. Most of the decline in applications is accounted for a steep reduction in the number of Japan-born Koreans taking Japanese citizenship. Okay, so that's a pretty that's an edge case, right? That's literal citizenship. Radiant. You're way too pro Japan. Okay, well, hold on. Let me see. Public opinion towards immigration. In 1993, 64% of respondents supported allowing firms facing labor shortages to hire unskilled foreign workers. A 2017 poll by Gallup shows a similar attitude 24 years later. Okay. Very good. What about recent times? 2019 Pew Research, right? Japanese respondents had more positive views of immigrants than respondents. Wait, so is it propaganda? Is it just simply propaganda or misinformation that people keep saying how racist Japan is? Like, or is the racist or is the racism subliminal? Like, it's below the surface. It's literally all retard conservative propaganda. Okay. Why is that? What? Then where did it come from in the first place? It's not so bad. Not bad, right? Uh, yeah. Let me see. Because it seems like racism in Japan is like a complicated issue, right? By target, Japanese ethnic minorities, Koreans, mainland Chinese, by field, pre-war xenophobia. Access to housing non-Japanese citizens and crime. War xenophobia. Anti-Semitism in Japan. Okay. Oh, interesting. Japan has its own population of indigenous people that seems to be facing some troubles. The Ainu people, Ainu, Ainu. The Japanese national newspaper expressed doubt that the impartiality of the report. National minorities. What the fuck? What? Stop! You're here to do propaganda for Japan. It's cringe.
No, it's
Okay,
not
stop. You're,
propaganda.
you're,
Okay.
you're just doing it because you
No,
watch
I was
anime.
gonna ask-
Okay, you
no,
love
I
anime
was gonna
and you
answer
watch
the
anime,
question.
and that's why you like it. Yeah, go ahead.
No,
yeah.
I was just here because I was gonna
You are
answer
biased. You are
questions.
biased.
It's easier
Yeah, go
than
ahead.
typing. My hands hurt.
Okay. Yeah. What?
What questions do you have? No, I just wanted to answer questions in case you have any, because I didn't feel like typing. I keep typing. It hurts my hands.
I'm reading. Okay. Wait. Just
Okay. Well,
shoot.
no, okay.
Okay.
Well, I guess I can just say that, yeah, just like Japan has culturally is a very isolated country compared to, or like everything else. So that's probably why you might think that like, or at least most of the stuff you might hear about it is probably coming from conservative Twitter or like some, I don't know, like anti-immigrant losers or whatever. But like,
But I
it's
thought that was like from the left. Doesn't that information come from the left? That like
it's because
Japanese were
it's
like
people who
fucking.
don't understand, and it because in one case, like 20, 30 years ago, it was pretty like xenophobic, you could say. And I'm not saying racist. I'm saying xenophobic because it's a very different kind of like uh, I don't what do you call it? Like I don't know, otherism. I don't know what you call it, but like it's not the same kind of like racism where you're like people call each other the N-word or something. Like it's more like they don't really care so much as like ethnicity, but more just like how, or at least like back then was more like how Japanese you were. Uh, like like the biggest focus is like um I don't know, yeah, just like they really like people that assimilate. It's not very race based, if that makes sense.
So it's not race based, but it's more like how well you can assimilate. Is that what it is?
Sort of like they highly prefer and they idolize people that are like they both love diversity, but mainly love like Japanese diversity, if that makes sense.
But Japan keeps on having like very far right leaning governments, right?
No,
Like what's going
no,
on
not at
there?
all. The
No.
governments are definitely like they're right in the sense that they're like uh
What?
they are pro-Japanese, not anti anything else, if that makes sense. Like if like it's not far right. Japanese politics is very complicated. It's a lot different than in the US. Do you know what I mean when I say pro-Japanese?
Shinzo Abe was a conservative leader and is often described as a divisive arch-conservative right-wing nationalist. His policies included seeking to revise Japan's post-war constitution, which is a key goal for many Japanese conservatives, and pursuing a more assertive foreign policy, strengthen Japan's military role and alliances. He's a right-winger.
I mean,
Shinzo
yes,
Abe is a
yes.
right-winger.
They're right wing, like they've had right wing government for I think the past like 30 years, but not right wing in the sense of like it's not
But
it's
people
not
do not like him, right? I recall like a lot of Japanese people do not like him. I don't know.
no, Shinzo Abe is very popular.
Fuck me.
He
Okay, never
only
mind.
recently Shinzo Abe was like I think like super well loved, at least up until the assassination, because this assassination was by a guy that was
Has a personal
like
grudge,
yeah, it was like
because
the
of the
son of a
cult,
cultist or whatever, and the cult was heavily I think like funded by
Okay,
Shinzo
so if
Abe's like
he's
group.
so if he's conservative and he's a popular figure, what does that make Japan?
Conservative doesn't mean anti-immigration. Usually, like
Dumbass.
historically conservatives loved immigration. Like, you know, Ronald Reagan was a pro-immigrant guy.
Okay,
But,
you just listen. You're just doing Japanese apologism, even though you're not Japanese. Okay,
It's
this
not
is like
apology.
this is weeabooism. This is weeabooism of the
I just
highest
hate,
order. Okay, if you
I
ever
hate
moved to Japan, you would face so much racism that you'd be crying. Okay, you'd be
right wing
crying
doesn't
because
mean
of the amount of racism,
anti-immigration. Like in America, it means anti-immigration. That's just because Donald
dude.
Trump. Like, I mean, boy, so what I'm saying wrong. Like right wing used to mean like actual like open borders or whatever, right?
What? Sorry, I wasn't listening. What's up?
Right wing does not mean anti-immigration. That's I guess the bottom line of that because you kept
No,
saying that.
okay, yeah, but generally right wingers like it seems like what the fuck is pro negation and anti negation? What the fuck does that mean?
What?
That sounds gay as fuck. It seems to be like he's like pro negation. Like,
Pro negation. I've never heard of
yeah.
that. Let me go see. I can't. I literally googled pro negation. I couldn't find anything. What is pro
I
negation?
don't fucking know. Hold on.
Are you pronouncing it wrong or something? Maybe that's why.
What the fuck? Okay, never mind. I don't. How conservative is Japan?
It's not. You can't Google that because it's not conservative in the way that you're thinking of. Like conservatism is not like again historically conservatism used to be like open borders, open like everything, like no laws in the U.S. and in pretty much everywhere else in the world. It's only recent that it became like this fascist, like like uh, our party or our country above all else, like kill everyone, kill immigrants, shut it down.
Wait, the first female leader is an ultra conservative star?
Yeah, she's pretty conservative. She's along the lines of Shinzo Abe.
Oh hell no. Okay, all right, whatever. Um, okay, nice female Hitler. Okay, all right. Okay,
No,
I
it's
give up.
not.
Okay,
I mean,
we're
it's
getting way off
not.
track.
It's
Yeah,
very listen, okay. Just
yeah.
telling you that like like Japanese politics is very very different from most of the world. Or like it's very hard to find good like English sources because most people either get their news from like conservative Twitter or whatever, like somebody
Well,
else
then
telling them what it is,
maybe Japan
or
should improve their propaganda beyond just anime, then, right?
it's not. It's okay. No, it's not anyway. It's just because Japan has a very isolated culture. Like it's all in
Listen,
Japanese.
okay.
Most people can't read Japanese.
Listen to me. All I know is that whenever I watch anime, okay, all I see are white. Okay, the whitest, the white. Okay, painted in a good light. All right.
Are you sure?
Where
I
are the
don't know.
black
I see
people?
I see
Huh?
pretty like a varied amount of colors. Just that Japan tends to be pretty white. Like you won't see many black people there. I mean, you'll see
Yeah,
Indians and
because they're
stuff.
all
But, like,
villains. Okay, that's what they are. Wait. Japan is actually quite liberal on some issues. A couple of issues, politically, socially.
I always tell like every conservative that tries to point out Japan as like the model country for anti-immigration is the fact that Japan is like pretty much like bar for bar a liberal like society. Like both parties support extremely liberal ideas. Um, they just like are like they just happen to be like historically um
Okay,
anti-immigration or
I'll be
technically.
convinced when there's much more brown people and black people in Japan. Okay, all right. Okay,
There
I gotta
is
return to the loner box. I gotta return to the loner
okay,
box thing.
no
Listen
problem.
to me.
Just I'm just
Okay,
saying
all
if you
right.
ever hear
Japan is
say
evil.
anything
Japan
about
is evil.
Japan,
Japan is evil. Japan is evil. Japan is evil.
okay.
Okay, all right, go. Yeah,
All right. Bye bye. Love you.
bye.
DGGL.
Love you. No, cringe.
FSL.
I'm revoking your privs. Okay, go.
You want to? What do you know? Do you know why?
No, tell me.
What would you
Why.
tell me was wrong with the Boris wave?
It was mainly people from a low wage background, so they're not actually economically productive.
Low
That's the main
wages.
problem.
What? So worker visas were like too low wage.
I'll give you an example. So there are 1.9 million foreign nationals on benefits in the UK. Just 1 in 10 Somalis in the UK are in full employment. Is that going to economically benefit the UK?
With Somalis,
What about
Somalis are often
Toronto's?
asylum seekers and refugees. Of course, they wouldn't be an economic benefit. So, as far as the
I
net
know,
migration,
exactly.
as far as no, not exactly, because refugees and asylum seekers are a tiny proportion of net migration, as I'm sure you know. They're not. The point of refugees and asylum seekers isn't supposed to be an economic benefit. That's supposed to be a humanitarian endeavor. We're talking about immigration policy for regular
it's obviously
migration.
not working. Well,
We're talking about regular migration. So you understand as well that part of that wave...
I'm looking at people coming into the country. I'm looking at people coming into the country, whether they be asylum seekers or they be legal immigrants. There's still the problem that a large number of people who are coming into Britain are not economically productive.
That's what I'm asking you. Because of what? Because of work visas? Like, what's the issue there? Do you think people who come on work visas are not productive?
Like, no, a lot of work visas are being handed out to people on a really, in really low skilled areas. So
what's the minimum for a work visa? For a skilled worker visa?
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. There are literally skilled workers visas for. There's literally people on skilled visas doing car washes.
Can you tell me more about that? Why is that? Why has that been the case? Why was that the case?
Because people are coming in on really with very little skills.
No, why? Why do they allow that? Why do they allow that for skilled worker visas?
Because they've lost control of the...
Bro, somebody has to fucking clean the cars, mate. Okay, somebody has to fucking go clean the cars. All right, do you want to do it, Drew Pavlou? All right. God, you look so fucking privileged. Like you want to go and do it?
Border system, and this...
No, it's not because they've lost control of the border system. It's part of the policy.
Yes, they have.
Stupid.
No, they have not. What are you talking about?
They have expanded. They have expanded the level. They've expanded skilled visas to include very low skilled professionals.
Who expanded them? Who expanded skilled visas?
The Tories, I'm pretty sure, did it.
Okay. And do you know why things like people who work in nail salons and car washes, why they got included to skilled worker visas? Why does that happen?
I think it shouldn't happen. It's a disaster.
No, why does it happen? It happens.
Well, you tell me why.
It's an exemption because of shortages. Because we've had low unemployment for years now in the UK. We've had like less than 5% unemployment.
Okay. Can you? So your position is literally that Britain should provide skilled worker visas for people to do car washes and nail salons.
Well, we've stopped doing that now. Did you know that?
Okay. Well, it's good that you stopped it. It's obviously a disaster that it happened. Correct?
How is it? Is it a disaster? Why? Why is it a disaster?
Well, why is it good for the British economy to import large amounts of low-skilled visa holders?
Well, I believe they did it because of shortages. That was why the standard salary requirement gets lowered.
Okay. Well, what you know what Boris actually said? Boris said recently in an interview that he was pressured by HM Treasury to bring in large numbers of people to hold down wage growth. So he literally was saying it's very open.
He was pressured to hold down wage growth. Are you kidding me? Boris said so, eh? Boris Johnson, the epic human failure who was behind the policy, made an excuse. That's good. It worked on someone.
But he literally said, he's retarded. I think Boris is retarded. Of course I do.
But you buy his explanation. You're very convinced by the explanation because it suits you. It suits your ideology, right? Yeah, it's convenient. They say it was to push down wages.
Sorry. Okay, why would I disbelieve him? It makes him look shit for saying that. So he's saying openly that the
no, it doesn't. He's blaming someone else, and he's also using it to again fuels a right-wing agenda to say it was about wage suppression.
He's blaming HM Treasury. I blame him for listening to HM Treasury. The whole thing is retarded. And look, it's a real thing. In Australia, we had the same thing. In Australia, there was a massive campaign by the Business Council of Australia to let in 2 million migrants post-COVID because they literally openly said that wage growth was too high.
This might be the first person I've ever seen in the UK who trusts Boris Johnson's word on one of his own failures. That's insane. You wouldn't integrate at all here.
Sorry, I'm trying to understand, right? Boris saying this does not make Boris look good. He looks like a retard. He looks like a traitor to Britain. He said that he's brought people in to hold down wage growth. So of course I'm going to believe him when he's saying something that makes himself look shit.
He's saying someone else made me do it. As opposed to, it was my own failure, my own incompetence.
Yeah, but everyone blames him. Yeah, of course, everyone saw that and said, no one's blaming HM Treasury for that. They're blaming Boris for doing that. They're saying Boris is a cunt for doing that.
You understand that even before
it's an excuse by Boris. He's saying these people made me hold down wage growth, and I had no choice but to hold down wage growth. And I look at that and I say, wow, he held down wage growth. What a terrible person. He's a traitor.
Okay, that's fine. That convinces you. That's fine. Well done.
I don't understand.
You understand that these people who
I don't understand. Lonerbox, explain this, right? It makes Boris look bad. So why would I disbelieve it? I look at Boris saying, I brought people into this country because we wanted to try hold down wage growth. I look at that and I say, this makes Boris look like a horrible traitor to Britain. So why would I disbelieve him there? It makes him look bad.
Yeah, I do want to kind of get this back to the portion of this debate is on culture specifically, right? But we've gotten to economics for some reason, I think.
I mean, but it doesn't.
Drew does seem to be quite interested in the economic argument, so let him do it.
I mean, but I am actually interested though. Like, can you explain Lonerbox? Like Boris literally said, we did it to hold down wage growth.
Yeah,
that makes him look shit.
I'm sorry, I don't know. I cannot explain why a politician who made a huge...
Dude, I heard you.
Who made a huge song and dance.
Let me say one thing.
You gotta let Lonerbox answer.
I'm sorry, I can't actually explain. I can't explain why a politician who had a huge song and dance about immigration causes wage suppression, despite the fact that his own study wasn't able to prove it beyond like a 1% change that was only temporary, would fuck up his immigration policy post-Brexit so bad that it resulted in the biggest wave of net migration that we've ever had, and then going into an interview and saying, oh yes, actually it was the Treasury that made me do it. So not me, not my failure, not my incompetence. And yeah, I have no idea why you would say that. That's crazy. Yeah.
This is just proof that Lonerbox is a debate pervert because I actually tuned into your stream before I came on, and you literally said that the Boris wave was due to wage inflation in the UK. So you literally admitted it on your own stream.
The Boris wave was due to wage inflation.
No, you said due to inflation, due to shortages, all this stuff.
Wait, so it's not. Wait, so it's not what I said about it being due to wage inflation. Do you think so? Wait, are you telling me that I said on this stream that the Boris wave was so they could suppress wages?
No, you said on your stream that the Boris wave was because of inflation. Now, the inflation was linked to wage growth, correct?
The Boris wave was not. I've never said the Boris wave was because of inflation.
I literally listened to your stream 3 hours ago. You said on your own stream.
Housekeeping, real quick. Someone get me the clip of what Lonerbox said, and we'll play it.
Okay. Well, it was. You can try find it. It was on his stream.
I'll just have my audience.
I think it was.
That doesn't even make any sense. I mean, you don't even.
I think it was about 30 minutes in. It was about 30 minutes in, and it was around the time when you started bringing up your debate notes onto the screen.
That doesn't even make sense. It's not. So it would be on my debate notes. My debate notes are all about I've got lots about the Boris wave here. I've got about the healthcare visas, the skilled worker visas.
It wasn't in your debate notes. You mentioned it as an aside when you first brought it up. It was about 35 minutes in, and you said that the reason why so many people came into the country was due to inflation and shortage.
Bro, it's so funny. It's so funny. Lonerbox just like pulls up like this entire fucking essay on the side. Oh my god. Fucking other monitor.
Which is correct.
It was shortages is not the same as wage growth.
Okay.
Shortages there's a need for workers, but we don't have the workers. That's a shortage.
Okay. Lonerbox, would you agree when there is a shortage of labor prices will go up?
Not always, no. Sometimes you can't hire people.
A lot of times, yes.
And a lot of times, no. Sometimes you can't hire people, and those businesses just don't exist. And then sometimes you can have immigrants that come in, and they can be maybe sometimes they can be cheap. Say like the Greek Albanian story from the night. Like you can sometimes have that happen, and you can have cheap laborers come in, and then they can actually get jobs that would otherwise not exist, and then that allows people to start businesses that would otherwise not exist, and then that can open up new managerial positions for the local population. Economics are complex. It's not as easy as just if you increase the supply, then the cost will come. It's not like that. That's why Boris himself tried to investigate into wage suppression linked to immigration. And he couldn't find it. That's why that happened.
Okay. Can you explain why half of all social housing in London is made up of foreign nationals? Is that a good policy? Surely you have to say that.
When you say foreign nationals, do you mean people who have indefinite right to stay, or people on visas? What does that mean?
It's people who are migrants to Britain who are living in foreign housing. In housing.
So I need to make sure that you understand how any of this works. Are these people on visas, or how long have they been here? Are they citizens? Are they indefinite right to stay?
Some of them may be citizens, some of them may be indefinite right to stay. It's people who've come to Britain from another country.
Or they could literally have got British citizenship and gone on housing, and you've got an issue with that.
Yeah, I do, because it's a choice to give people citizenship if they're actually not even able to economically contribute to the country.
Hold on, what's the real issue behind that? What's the issue? The issue is that there's no issue? The issue is that we treat people humanely and put them inside houses? Like, what's going on here? What's the issue of this? Like, is there some kind of housing shortage that is otherwise like reserved for people who are brown or something?
How do you know they weren't able when they got citizenship? How do you?
Because I'm so confused. Because the thing is that like I just want to know what the actual issue is, right? Like you can't just state a statistic and then try to expect the other side to infer what the issue is because you're fucking racist, right?
How easy is it, do you think, to migrate to the UK right now?
Unfortunately, under the Boris wave, it was too easy.
How easy do you think it actually wasn't as easy as you're making
it? It must be pretty easy if half of social housing in London is made up of foreign nationals.
As a question for my
social housing is a
just real quick. I don't actually know the requirements to immigrate. Like, what current restrictions, if any, are there on English immigration? Like, if you want to immigrate to England,
tell us what
the overwhelming.
What are the requirements?
The overwhelming majority of visas, you cannot get social housing or basically any welfare when you immigrate. So if you're talking about foreign nationals, like this, a foreign national can literally be someone who's been working here and living here for like 20 years, and then they got laid off. Like that can be, or a foreign national could be the child of a migrant who was here as a dependent, and then they had to go on social housing.
The foreign national, so it's first generation born overseas immigrants.
Yes, a child can be first generation, and then they can grow up. Yes, that can happen as well. The reason that we have like a high number of foreign...
and then they grow up and then they're in social housing in London. Can you explain that? Why?
They, as in what proportion of them? Most people work in the UK. If you're saying half of people,
half of all social housing in London
if there's a high number of people on social housing who are foreign in London, it's because most people, like about half of people in London are foreign, aren't they? Like London is a very high foreign population.
Good question. Actually, this is a good question. Do you think it's a good thing that white English people only represent 20% of London?
20%?
It's about 1/4 or something like that.
Last I saw, it was about 45 or something, not 20.
Let's get that. Let's make sure. I want to make sure I got the right stat. White English London stats. Oh, so white British is 25%, but I think it's whites about like it incorporates like, for example, like Poles and stuff like that as well.
White people make up approximately 53.8% of London's population. This includes those who identify as white British and those in the other white category. That's the 2021 census. Wait, who cares? Oh, the real question is who cares? Like, why does this even matter?
White British incorporates Poles.
No. I'm saying
No, so
when you said
I'm looking
you're
at
saying
this.
that the
So
48
white has not white just overall is about 49.6%, whereas white British specifically is 24.9%.
yeah.
Do you I don't think the other half of whites in London are like European whites. That because in terms of how you identify, I'm pretty sure the way people identify their ethnicity or like identity, they can go with white or white British, and they might still just be British either way. Are you asking me if it's like a bad thing that London is like not
White
majority
British is
white?
23%.
Again,
No, not necessarily. I'm just saying, like, do you think it's a bad thing that London, which was a city founded by English people and has been English for 1,000 years, is no longer now a majority
I don't know,
English?
you would need to convince me why that's bad inherently.
Okay, you'd have to explain to us why it's good to make that massive demographic change, because the first time in 1,000 years, that's
Well,
correct.
I don't support demographic changes for their own sake. I support immigration because of economic needs.
Yeah, but the immigration results in those demographic changes, and you have to try to explain why those demographic changes are good.
Well, no, you're the one. No, you're the one.
No, you don't need to do that. What? You're the one that needs to justify that it's bad, right? That is the claim. Like you can't show like, oh yeah, prove that you haven't raped anyone. That's fucking, you can't prove a negative, right? The positive claim here is you have to show why it's bad, right? Unless you're making an argument that it's bad inherently in some way. But then we can talk about like other white national identities that are massive in population, I'm sure. That we just don't really give a fuck about, I guess.
I'm trying to prove that there's a problem. I'm standing from a neutral. I'm neutral on demographics.
I think it is actually a problem if the capital city of your country that has existed for 1,000 years suddenly is no longer majority.
But why? You've got to introduce that. You're introducing a positive claim. Why?
Yes.
Why? Because English people founded London, and it is an English city. And it's sad if English people are no longer a majority in the capital that they founded.
Okay, give me an answer. London was founded by Romans, but give me an answer that's not just because, please.
Because I'm going to go into this. I think it's bad if English
Wait, was it actually?
people become a minority in the country that is their homeland.
That's a circular answer again. Why?
In the same way that I think it would be bad if Jewish people were a minority in Israel.
Oh my god. Was London founded by the Romans? Yes. Wow. That's just great. Londinium, it was called. Also known as Roman London.
What? Because they'll get genocided. Like,
Well, I think
it makes sense because the word London, right? It sounds very Latin. I don't know, like the word itself is very Latin.
I think there could be a genocide of white English people in Britain in about 50, 60 years time if there was to be a massive rise in the population. Of
well, let me explore that, Drew. Why do you think that there will be or possibly be a mass genocide of white British people in England?
I'll explain. I'll explain
in about 50, 60 years.
Dude, what the fuck? Bro, I told you guys. I literally told you guys from the very beginning that this was going to turn into a fucking, like the actual point that Drew Pavlou actually wants to get to. Like, this is all fucking, like, everything about sexual assault, everything about child sexual assault, everything about crime rates. Like, that's fake. That shit is all fake, right? That's not real. Like, these are all concern troll for what this actually is, right? Because the actual issue that you want to get to is white genocide and the Great Replacement theory, which is why like you shouldn't engage on shit like this. You really should, like, because it's like the thing that they actually care about is like, I don't know, like you need to ask some really hard questions. Like, for example, are you okay with another white population coming in? Like if you had to choose between one of the populations to come in, but one is just simply white, like, do you choose the white one? Like, you need to ask some hard questions, because the thing is that like I feel like engaging on these hypotheticals or like these crime statistics is just a mask for them. That is a mask. The real thing that they actually want to get to is like the Great Replacement theory. Yeah. The people who act like there's a problem with wanting a white majority country would have no problem if African or Asian countries want to keep their country's majority African or Asian. Dude, what are you talking about? No one's gonna have an issue with that. No one's gonna have an issue with a bunch of white people moving into a black fucking country or some shit, right? You realize that, right? The reason why we talk about it is because the way that it was done was unethical back then, right? The colonial shit. Does that make sense? Like, that's not a real issue. This isn't a real issue. That's a fake issue. You're a faker. You're a consensual.
Here's what?
Because
Why?
because Islamic extremists in Britain, there are tens of thousands of them. There are 35,000 people on the terror watch list. They want to kill people. It's very open. They're very open about it. They go out and they kill people. And how many terrorist attacks have occurred already as a result of Islamic extremism? Many terrorist attacks have occurred as a result of Islamic extremism. Like, if you have a young Muslim migrant to the UK, go to Manchester Arena at an Ariana Grande concert and just blow up a bunch of young teenage girls for no reason, that is a genocidal act. That is literally an act of
Nobody wants to hear your fantasy, little man.
genocide against British people. And if that is occurring when the British Muslim population is like 6 or 7%, what do you think would happen if the British Muslim population was about 50%? There would be very scary situations.
That's your threshold for calling it. Out of interest, if an IDF soldier guns down like a couple of Gazan civilians, or like say 10 of them in a fit of rage because they're just really mad, like, and they come at war, is that genocide?
I mean, in some cases, war crimes can be genocidal in nature. I think, for example, the Manchester Arena bombing, it is not an act of genocide, but it was a genocidal attack on British people.
It's not an act of genocide, but it's a genocidal attack.
No, I'm saying
What?
war crimes can be genocidal in nature. So, for example, if people are murdered simply because of the fact that they are English, or simply because of the fact that they are Palestinian, or simply because of the fact that they are Jewish, I think that's genocidal. I think October 7 attacks were genocidal, Lonerbox. I think it was genocidal. They went through the kibbutzim and slaughtered Jews simply because they were Jews. It wasn't necessarily an act of genocide overall because only 1,000 people were killed, but the attacks that Hamas waged on that day were genocidal in nature. And my belief is that if Hamas had won, if they had been able to break through the lines, they would have killed not just 1,000 Jewish people, but hundreds of thousands of Jewish people. You believe that Hamas are genocidal, correct?
I'm still just trying to get my head around saying that it's not a genocidal act, but it's an act of genocide. I have no idea what that means.
No. Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this because we both agree. We're both Zionists, correct? So let's talk about this. Do you agree with me?
We're both Zionists. Lonerbox is never escaping the allegations that he's like a hardcore Zionist who wants the death of all Palestinians.
To be clear, when we talk about
Zionist, Lonerbox?
when we talk about defending like Israel, I defend Israel insofar as that I think people trying to destroy it are bad for everyone. You defend Israel. No, you defend Israel because you have a bone to pick with Muslims. I don't suppose in that think tank that wants to radically destroy. I don't suppose it's part of that think tank that's about destroying.
Are you mentally ill? You're literally mentally ill. Dude,
I don't
you're mentally ill.
I don't suppose it's part of that think tank. Lonerbox, Muslims commit more murders than whites in the UK.
Lonerbox, you are literally extremely mentally ill because I've actually been one of the highest profile supporters of like Israel's right to exist on social media over the past couple of years. And you're saying, oh, well, you don't care about Jews. You're only doing it because you hate Muslims. No, dude, that's actually extremely offensive. And it's actually really evil of you to say that. How about have some gratitude to me? They're like, look at the world right.
Oh my god, have some gratitude to Drew Pavlou? Oh my, you, little man. You are a net detriment to society, okay? I've seen the way that you quake and shake when you're like in a call with Destiny because you look up to him, and because he ignores you and he doesn't like you, that you suddenly feel like you are like, I don't know, you don't like Destiny anymore. You feel betrayed that Destiny calls you a retard. Okay, dude. You're like literally one of the most pathetic human beings, if we can even call you human. I don't even know if you're human or not. Like, I think that's debatable. I think the fact that you may or may not be human is debatable. I think that's a debatable fact. All right?
Now, look at the world right now. Like half of all these people, there are so many young people right now who like literally want to kill Jews everywhere.
This is just going to be an emotional rage.
But have some fucking.
It's always this though. It's always just like feelings.
It's true though. Literally, but dude, have some fucking gratitude. Look at how people have treated the Jews over the past couple of years. I'm actually an ally of the Jewish people, and you're just like, oh, you only care about Jews.
Bro is tweeting from Twitter, okay? And he proclaims himself an ally of the Jewish people. I wonder how many Jewish people he saved. Okay, I wonder how many Jewish lives he's saved. Okay, from the beginning since October 7 to the end. Okay, just give me some specific examples of how he benefited the fucking Israeli government in terms of writing up legislation or drafting up legislation or voting even in the first place or saved any kind of Palestinian or Israeli children either way. Like, I'm just curious, you know, like you are making a claim that you are beneficial to the Jewish people. Okay, fine, prove it. Prove it. What's your contribution beyond tweets where your dad is telling you to go get a job?
Because you hate Muslims. That's extremely offensive. I put my neck on the line. I put my neck on the line.
You put your neck. Oh my god, bro! This guy's not a real person. This guy's not a real. This guy is a false being. Okay, this guy is not a real fucking person. What the fuck? What? Oh my god!
I got so no, but have some fucking.
It's always
gratitude
this though. It's always just like
But it's true
feelings.
though. Literally, but dude, have some fucking gratitude. Look at the fact that look at how.
Can you answer me though? Is it racist for other countries to want to keep their native population a majority? It depends on why you want it, right? Most of the time, yeah, it is pretty damn racist. Yes, it is. Yeah, of course. Most of the time, yeah. The vast majority of the time, even, I would argue. Now, maybe you can argue that maybe there is a biodiversity problem or something, and I don't know, like or maybe there is a specific gene that is net mutually beneficial to society in some hypothetical future scenario, but no one's making that argument, okay? So I think we're good.
People have treated the Jews over the past couple of years. I'm actually an ally of the Jewish people, and you're just like, oh, you only care about Jews because you hate Muslims. That's extremely offensive. I put my neck on the line. I put my neck on the line. I got so many.
Dude, why is he actually making this argument? That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. There's no way he's like actually making this argument, right? Holy shit.
Death threats from Hamas supporters and stuff like that over the past 2 years. And then you say, oh, you don't care about Jews. You're only doing it because you hate Muslims. That's extremely offensive. Like, how dare you, honestly?
I mean, you
Oh yeah, join my Discord. Discord.gg/Foodshops. Do it. Join my community.
literally just asserted.
extremely
You literally
offensive.
just tried to make it sound like there's like a higher murder problem of Muslims in the UK as well. I don't suppose that your Centre for Migration Control that is definitely not partisan. I don't suppose they gave you stats on that, did they? I thought we were agreeing that.
Who are you? Who mega lol? Oh my god.